These are the common adjustments for setup for the CAC50. The thing I'm going to go through are the different points on the tape head. One being the mandrel for the tape core. Second one being the knurled one-way roller, which is your tension roller. Also, you have your one-way in-feed roller, and you have a two-way wipe down roller. Those items are the ones that are most critical on the tape head. The most important one on this tape head is the one-way knurled roller. This is what gives you your tension for the tape. It should spin, but not be so loose that it spins on its own, or be so tight that you actually have to physically turn it hard. It just turns real easy. You can just kind of see it just spins a little bit. That's where you want that adjusted. This adjustment up here would be your tape core mandrel tension adjustment. And that, you just want to tension this enough to keep the tape from backlashing or back rolling on itself. That's the only use for this tension, this adjustment period. Should not be used to adjust the tape tension. The trick to this whole thing is having all these items work together in order to get the tape to come across these 2 points. On this tape head, this is one of our main adjustments. It is the tape core backlash adjustment. This will allow the tape to pull off the roll at a nice even rate, or if it's misadjusted, it will allow the tape to roll back on itself and over roll, or it'll be so tight that it'll actually cause a problem for the tape head to operate. Right now I have it set the way it should be. I put this line on here so you can see how the tape actually lines up after we're all done versus where it's coming off of the roll. I'm going to show you now as we pull it through so you can see how it is. That's pretty good. It stopped immediately. Now the adjustment, if it's too loose, as you can see right now, we have the line here and we have the tape coming here. It wraps all the way back around on itself, which is way too loose. Now we'll take and tension this back down. Now when we pull, it's really hard to pull, way beyond what it should be. And if you actually adjust this way down, and you can see the tape is actually rippling here from the pressure, and it's almost impossible. The only reason this is here is for that tape to just come off the roll, so it's just enough tension so that when I pull, it stops right in line with the roll. Just about like that. The second adjustment on this tape head is this one-way clutch roller. And when it's turning, you can see I can just freewheel it, but it's not spinning on its own. You will need a wrench or a crescent wrench like this to adjust this. If you turn this just a little bit, you'll see how it gets real loose. If I turn it back just that little bit, now it stops pretty quick. If I go just a little bit more, then it doesn't turn real easy at all. So we don't want it that tight. If I loosen it up just that little bit now, it'll probably work good. So I'm going to run some tape through here so you can see how it works. Sounds pretty good. Now if we take and loosen this, like I showed you, and then we run it, you're going to see the tape is real easy to pull through. Now if I take that same adjustment and we tighten it way down, it's harder to pull. You can almost see the ripples in the tape when you're pulling. If I go just a little bit more, now you can hear the tape just stretching to pull through the tape, which is not correct. So we want to back this off just so that it doesn't freewheel. That's a little too loose. Okay, right there. Now this should be correct. just enough pressure on it when I'm pulling that I can feel the resistance, but it's not so much I'm having to rip it through the tape head. Next adjustment on this is the tape finger, which I'm going to have to pick this up so you can see this. There's these two fingers and this plate. And this plate is spring-loaded. What those fingers do is they create a bow in the tape. Without the bow, this tape would just fall over. So that's why that's here. You can see how it's limp when I don't have it just right. But when I do that, it just goes straight. Contact on these is critical. They must both touch the plate and still have this must move freely. This must move freely for this to work. It's a very critical adjustment on here. Basically, it's just a matter of bending these down to match the plate. Once that's done, this should stay up on its own. The one-way roller, which is here, the only trouble you really have with those is if sometimes the clutch inside the roller goes and it starts to run both ways, and then it actually will pull the tape back into here instead of holding it straight. So that's a kind of a critical thing to have this rolling in the right direction. It should roll freely. Our blade, which is here, get a better view of it, right here. The one thing if you can see as this comes by, it's pretty close to the blade. That's one of the indicators that the tape head is wearing is when this starts hitting the blade. It's on an angle because it cuts a lot easier. The blade is on an angle. It cuts a lot easier that way, so that's why it's set up that way. That's the one thing you want to look for, is make sure you don't have a lot of tape build up on the knife. Also that it's sharp. The back roller is a multi-directional roller. It can go either way. Just as long as it spins freely, it'll be fine. On the front here, you'll notice a spring. That is for your knife arm. And that basically is just to keep tension on this knife arm so that it doesn't push up too easy and allow that tape, the tape to actually push the knife back up. Instead, it wants to push the knife into the tape. So that tension here is done with a wrench, which is here. And that basically, you just want enough tension on it so it's pushing back on you. You don't have to have this over tensioned. This is your spring. There's multiple holes back in here that you can put this spring into. Basically, they're set up at the factory on the third hole, which is a very standard tension. If you're doing a really light box, you may have to back the spring off one more notch. If you're doing a real heavy box and you want to make sure that the flaps are down, then you would want to move this one notch forward. As far as the spring tension that's on there, it's good for a medium weight box, 15-20 pounds. Also, there's another adjustment on this tape head, which is your tape core depth, in order to line your tape through the whole tape head. Basically, to do that adjustment, it's a threaded shaft, and the tape core is threaded on the inside. So you will take this screw and back it off, and then you will actually just turn the whole tape roll in order to back it out or crank it in. Once you get it to the desired location or to line this up through the whole tape head, then you reset this Allen screw back down tight. You make sure it's good and tight, and that'll lock it into its position, and then that'll keep the tape in line with everything going through the tape head. We try to shoot for the center of this one-way roller as best we can. The tape will kind of wander as it goes around, so you got to kind of take an average of where it's hitting. Just as long as it isn't riding up over the top of these two washers here. It should stay in between those. The other thing that we kind of watch for is tape buildup on these rollers here, because the glue will actually migrate down into the bearing surface and cause this to slow. That about covers it.